Dr. Elena Reyes never expected to make history on an ordinary Wednesday morning. The quantum observatory beneath the Atacama Desert had been operating for 3 years without detecting anything more exciting than cosmic background radiation. But today, as she stared at her holographic display, her hands trembled on the control panel. The signal wasn't just unusual, it was impossible. Quantum entanglement worked on the principle of paired particles. You couldn't just receive quantum signals from space. Yet here it was, a perfectly coherent stream of quantum data flowing through their detectors like water. "Run the verification sequence again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Her team of quantum physicists moved with practiced precision, each running their own checks on the phenomenon. The results remained unchanged. "It's real," Dr. Marcus Chen confirmed, his eyes wide behind his augmented reality lenses. "And it's not random. There's a pattern here. Look at the oscillation frequency." Helena saw it immediately. The signal pulsed in perfect mathematical sequences, each burst containing what appeared to be encoded information. But what truly caught her attention was the timing. Exactly one pulse every 108 seconds. The signal wasn't just coherent, it was artificial. Within hours, every major quantum observatory on Earth had confirmed their findings. Humanity had received its first confirmed contact from an extraterrestrial civilization, and it came through a medium that their physics said shouldn't be possible. The global response was immediate and unprecedented. The United Earth Council convened an emergency session, while the scientific community worked around the clock to decode the message. Elena found herself at the center of it all, her small research team suddenly thrust onto the world stage. "They're not just saying hello," she explained to the council 3 days later, her holographic projection standing before representatives from every nation. "They're giving us instructions, specifications for building something." The decoded messages contained detailed schematics for a device unlike anything humanity had ever conceived. It utilized principles of quantum mechanics that went far beyond current understanding, yet was designed to be constructible with Earth's existing technology. "They're teaching us," Elena continued, her excitement barely contained. "Each transmission builds on the last, gradually introducing more advanced concepts. It's like a scientific primer, but at a scale that's staggering." But not everyone shared her enthusiasm. Admiral Sarah Hayes, head of Earth's Combined Defense Forces, saw potential danger. "Dr. Rice, you're suggesting we build an unknown device based on instructions from an alien civilization we know nothing about. Have you considered this could be a trap?" Elena had considered it. She'd spent sleepless nights wrestling with the implications, but something about the elegant simplicity of the design, the way it built upon human scientific understanding rather than simply providing advanced technology, spoke to her scientific intuition. "Admiral, I understand your concerns," she responded carefully. "But look at how the information is being presented. They're not giving us technology we couldn't verify or understand. They're teaching us, step by step, allowing us to validate each principle. If they meant us harm, why take such a methodical approach?" The debate raged for weeks, but in the end, curiosity and hope won out over fear. Construction began on the device in a heavily secured facility in the Atacama Desert, near the observatory where it all began. Elena led the project, working with a team of the world's brightest minds to translate alien quantum theory into physical reality. The device took shape gradually, its purpose still unclear. It incorporated conventional electronics alongside cutting-edge quantum components, all arranged in patterns that seemed to defy normal engineering logic. Yet every test confirmed it was working exactly as the specifications indicated. 3 months after the first signal, they were ready. The device hummed to life, its quantum core pulsing with the same 108-second rhythm as the original signal. Elena stood before the control panel, her finger hovering over the activation sequence. "All systems are nominal," Marcus reported, his voice tense with anticipation. "Quantum field is stable. We're ready, Dr. Reyes." Elena took a deep breath, acutely aware of the hundreds of eyes watching from the observation deck above, including military personnel ready to respond to any threat. This moment would change everything, for better or worse. She pressed the activation sequence. The device's hum deepened, its quantum core glowing with an impossible light. And then, in the center of the chamber, space itself began to twist and fold. A perfect sphere of distorted reality formed, its surface rippling like liquid mercury. And through that sphere came a voice, not in sound waves, but directly into the minds of everyone present. It spoke perfect English, yet carried undertones of something vast and alien. Greetings, children of Earth. We are the Krivith, and we have been watching. You have taken your first step into a larger universe. Now comes the true test. Are you ready to learn why we chose you? The sphere pulsed, and in its surface, Elena saw reflections of impossible worlds and civilizations beyond human imagination. Humanity's first contact was just beginning, and nothing would ever be the same. The Krivith embassy descended from the stars like a falling constellation, a massive structure of crystalline geometries that settled into geosynchronous orbit above the United Earth Council headquarters in Geneva. Its arrival marked the beginning of what they called the Integration Protocol, humanity's introduction to galactic civilization. Dr. Elena Reyes stood at her observation post in the newly constructed Quantum Communication Center, watching as the first official Krivith delegation prepared to address the council. The aliens were tall, their bodies composed of what appeared to be living crystal, internal lights pulsing in complex patterns that seemed to correspond with their thoughts. Their biology is impossible, Dr. Marcus Chen muttered beside her, his augmented reality lenses recording every detail. Silicon-based life forms are theoretical, but this is something else entirely. The lead Krivith representative, who called itself Nexus Prime, stepped forward. Its crystalline form shifted colors as it spoke, its thoughts translated instantly through the quantum field they had helped humanity build. We have watched your species with great interest, it began, its mental voice resonating with harmonics that sent shivers down Elena's spine. Your potential is unique, but also dangerous. You stand at a crucial junction in your development, and we are here to ensure you choose the correct path. Admiral Hayes, standing near the council leaders, tensed visibly at those words. Elena shared her unease. There was something in the Krivith's tone, a certainty that bordered on condescension. The revelation came 3 days later, during what was supposed to be a routine cultural exchange. Elena and her team were demonstrating human quantum computing principles to a group of Krivith scientists when one of their experiments produced unexpected results. The quantum computer, enhanced with Krivith principles, began displaying patterns that none of their equations could explain. The Krivith observers reacted with immediate alarm, their crystalline forms flashing with rapid pulses of deep red. Impossible, one of them projected, its mental voice sharp with what Elena recognized as fear. Their neural patterns are affecting the quantum field directly. This level of consciousness integration should not be possible in an organic species. Elena watched in fascination as the patterns continued to evolve, somehow responding to the mere presence of human observers. The Krivith scientists withdrew quickly, but not before she caught fragments of their agitated communication. Words like containment and intervention protocol. That night, she worked late in her lab, reviewing the data with Marcus. They're afraid of us, she realized, watching the patterns replay. Not of our technology or our potential for violence, but of something more fundamental. Marcus nodded, his fingers dancing through holographic displays. Look at these readings. When human consciousness interacts with quantum fields, it creates patterns that their systems can't predict or control. It's like our minds operate on principles their science doesn't understand. The implications were staggering. The Krivith, for all their advanced technology, had engineered themselves into a form that was perfectly predictable, perfectly controllable. Human consciousness, with its capacity for quantum uncertainty and creative chaos, represented something they had long ago abandoned, and perhaps now feared. Their fears were not unfounded. Over the next few weeks, every human interaction with Kriveth technology produced similar anomalies. Human operators could intuitively grasp concepts that the Kriveth insisted should be impossible, finding creative solutions that defied their rigid logical frameworks. The Kriveth response was swift and concerning. What had begun as an open cultural exchange quickly became restricted. Access to their technology was limited, and their communications grew increasingly guarded. More Kriveth ships arrived in orbit, their stated purpose peaceful observation, but their positions forming an unmistakable containment grid around Earth. Belina brought her findings to Admiral Hayes in a secure facility deep beneath the Alps. "They're not here to help us develop," she explained, displaying the evidence of Kriveth containment preparations. "They're here to ensure we develop in a way they can control." Hayes studied the data grimly. "And if we don't conform to their preferred path of development, based on their reactions to our quantum consciousness experiments, I don't think they'll give us a choice. Their entire civilization is built on predictability and control. We represent chaos, beautiful, creative chaos that they can't quantify or contain." "Then we need to be ready," Hayes decided. "But how do you fight an enemy that's thousands of years more advanced than you?" Elena smiled, pulling up the quantum pattern readings from her experiments. "We use the very thing they fear. Human consciousness doesn't just affect their technology. It transforms it in ways they can't understand or predict. We need to weaponize our humanity." As if in response to her words, the quantum displays around them flickered with patterns that danced and shifted like thoughts given form. In their complexity, Elena saw the future of human resistance, not with ships or weapons, but with the power of minds that could dream beyond the boundaries of even the most advanced alien science. The Kriveth had come to contain what they saw as a dangerous species. Instead, they would learn why humanity's unpredictable nature was not a flaw to be corrected, but a strength that would reshape the galaxy. Deep beneath the streets of Singapore, in a repurposed quantum computing facility, Dr. Elena Reyes watched as ordinary humans performed the impossible. 20 volunteers from different walks of life, teachers, artists, engineers, and even a retired gardener, sat in meditation circles around modified versions of the original quantum communication device. The air hummed with potential as their minds reached out into the quantum field, creating patterns that defied the rigid structure of Kriveth physics. On the monitors above, Kriveth systems across the city flickered and glitched, their perfect crystalline networks disrupted by the chaotic beauty of human thought. "It's not just working," Marcus whispered, his augmented reality lenses capturing every detail of the phenomenon. "It's spreading. Each person who learns to access the quantum field can teach others. It's growing exponentially." Elena nodded, remembering how they'd discovered this ability almost by accident. After the Kriveth had begun their containment measures, she continued her research in secret, studying how human consciousness interacted with quantum fields. What she found had changed everything. Humans didn't just affect quantum systems, they could shape them, instinctively understanding principles that the Kriveth had spent millennia trying to control. More importantly, this ability was not limited to scientists or specialists. Every human mind carried this potential. Admiral Hayes stood beside her, watching the demonstration with intense focus. "How many centers like this do we have now?" 57, Elena replied, "spread across every continent, hidden beneath the Kriveth's surveillance. We're calling them mind forges. Each one trains more people, who then go out and train others. It's becoming a movement." The resistance had grown organically, spreading through whispered conversations and encrypted messages, while the Kriveth watched for traditional military preparations, weapon stockpiles, troop movements, spacecraft construction. Humanity was awakening a power that had always existed within them. A young woman named Maya, formerly a classical musician, demonstrated the latest breakthrough. Sitting before a quantum interface, she closed her eyes and began to hum. The quantum field responded to her consciousness like an instrument, creating harmonies that rippled through the Krivith's communication networks. They built their entire civilization on predictability. Maya explained later, her eyes bright with excitement. But music, art, human creativity, these things thrive on uncertainty. We're not just disrupting their systems, we're introducing something they can't comprehend. The Krivith noticed the disruptions, of course. Their ships in orbit increased their scanning patterns, and their representatives demanded explanations for the quantum anomalies appearing in their networks. But they were looking for technology, for devices and weapons. They couldn't conceive that the disruptions came from human minds themselves. Alina's team had learned to mask their activities behind what they called consciousness veils, mental patterns that appeared as normal background quantum noise to Krivith sensors. It was like teaching people to whisper in frequencies their watchers couldn't hear. The breakthrough came when they discovered how to link minds through the quantum field. In the secure chamber of the Singapore facility, Alina watched as a group of trained quantum sensitives joined their consciousness into a unified field. The effect was stunning. Their combined mental power could reach across continents, connecting with other mind forges and creating a global network of human consciousness. We're not just fighting their technology, Alina explained to a gathering of resistance leaders. We're evolving. Every human who awakens to this ability strengthens our collective field. The Krivith think they're containing us, but they're actually forcing us to discover who we really are. But with evolution came responsibility. Alina had seen how the power could corrupt. Some wanted to use it as a weapon, to strike back at the Krivith with pure force. She fought against this impulse, knowing it would lead them down the same path of control and domination that the Krivith had chosen. Our strength isn't in destruction, she insisted during a crucial meeting. It's in creation, in imagination, in the very chaos they fear. We don't need to defeat them. We need to show them what they've lost. The resistance grew stronger each day, as more humans awakened to their quantum potential. In secret chambers and hidden rooms, people learned to touch the underlying fabric of reality with their thoughts. Artists painted with quantum fields, musicians played symphonies through subatomic strings, and children dreamed dreams that rippled through the Krivith's perfect systems like waves through a still pond. Above them, the Krivith ships maintained their vigilant watch, their crystalline crews becoming increasingly agitated by anomalies they couldn't explain. They had come to contain a primitive species, only to find themselves facing something their advanced science had never predicted: the awakening of humanity's true potential. The revolution wasn't fought with weapons or armies. It was fought with thoughts, dreams, and the infinite creativity of the human mind. And as Alina watched her network of quantum sensitives grow, she knew that the real battle was yet to come, the moment when humanity would step out of the shadows and show the galaxy what consciousness truly meant. The first cracks in the Krivith's perfect system appeared on a moonless night over Tokyo. Their crystalline ships, normally arranged in precise geometric patterns, began to drift out of formation. The quantum field that maintained their coordinated movements wavered like heat distortion over hot pavement. In her command center beneath Geneva, Dr. Alina Reyes watched the disruption spread across the global monitoring system. Hundreds of thousands of awakened humans were now connected through the quantum network, their combined consciousness creating patterns that ripple through reality itself. They can't maintain cohesion, Marcus reported, his augmented reality lenses streaming data from quantum sensors worldwide. Their systems are designed to handle mathematical certainty, not this. He gestured at the displays showing the chaotic beauty of human thought patterns interfering with Krivith technology. The Krivith response was immediate and revealing. More ships appeared in orbit, their crystalline forms glowing with intense energy as they attempted to reinforce their containment grid. But the very act of concentration made them more vulnerable to the quantum disruption emanating from humanity's collective consciousness. They're afraid, Admiral Hayes observed, watching the Krivith ships' increasingly erratic movements. For the first time in their history, they're facing something they can't predict or control. Alina nodded, but her attention was focused on a more concerning development. The quantum field was showing signs of instability far beyond their expectations. The Krivath aren't just losing control of their ships, she realized. Their entire unified field theory is starting to unravel. Through the quantum network, she could sense the growing panic among the Krivath. Their consciousness, so long confined to rigid patterns of thought, was being forced to confront chaos itself. Some of their crystalline forms were beginning to show fracture patterns, their perfect symmetry disrupted by exposure to human quantum fields. But with this success came an unexpected crisis. Maya, now one of their strongest quantum sensitives, detected it first. "The disruption is cascading," she reported, her voice tense with concern. "If their systems fail completely, the quantum backlash could devastate both our species." Elena had feared this possibility. The Krivath had built their civilization on a foundation of quantum control so fundamental that its collapse could tear reality itself. They had to find a way to contain the chaos they'd unleash without sacrificing humanity's newfound power. In the midst of this crisis, something unprecedented occurred. A single Krivath ship broke formation and descended toward the Geneva facility. Unlike its brethren, this vessel's crystalline structure showed signs of adaptation, its perfect geometry giving way to more organic patterns. Through the quantum field came a transmission unlike any they received before. The rigid mathematical precision of Krivath communication was replaced by something almost human in its complexity. "I am Nexus Discord." The message resonated in their minds. "Once Nexus Prime, before your chaos touched me. We were wrong about your species, and that error may destroy us all." Under heavily controlled conditions, they allowed the transformed Krivath to enter their facility. Its crystalline form had changed dramatically, showing swirling patterns that mimicked the quantum chaos of human thought. Through it, they learned the truth about the Krivath's evolution. "We were like you once," Nexus Discord explained, its mental voice carrying echoes of long-buried emotions. "Our pursuit of perfection led us to engineer chaos from our own nature. We thought we had achieved transcendence, but we had only trapped ourselves in a prison of our own making." The quantum disruptions were doing more than damaging Krivath technology. They were awakening something long dormant in the crystalline beings themselves. Exposure to human consciousness was reactivating neural pathways that had been suppressed for millennia. "Some of us are changing," Nexus Discord continued. "Your chaos. It reminds us of what we lost. But others fear this change. They would rather destroy both our civilizations than risk the return of uncertainty to our existence." The warning came just in time. Elena's sensors detected a massive power buildup in the Krivath fleet. They were preparing to initiate what Nexus Discord called the Purification, a quantum cascade that would eliminate all consciousness patterns they deemed chaotic. If they succeed, Elena explained to the hastily assembled Earth Council, they'll not only destroy our quantum awakening, but they'll lock both our species into a pattern of eternal stagnation. Evolution itself will end. They had hours at most to prevent the quantum cascade. But as Elena looked at the transformed Krivath being before her, she realized that prevention wasn't enough. They needed to do more than save themselves. They needed to save the Krivath from their own perfect prison. The final confrontation would require something beyond technology, beyond even the power of human consciousness alone. It would require them to prove that chaos and order weren't enemies, but essential partners in the dance of existence. The quantum cascade began like a silent sunrise, a wave of perfect order emanating from the Krivath fleet. In orbit above Earth, crystalline ships aligned into a precise geometric pattern, their combined power reaching out to reshape reality itself. Their goal: to eliminate the chaos of consciousness, to force evolution into a single, predictable path. Dr. Elena Rice stood in the center of the Geneva Mind Forge, surrounded by thousands of awakened humans linked through the quantum network. Through their collective consciousness, she could feel the approaching wave of enforced order, a mathematical certainty that would erase everything that made them human. "We can't fight it directly," she announced, her voice carrying through both sound and quantum resonance. "The more we resist, the more power we give their cascade. We need to do something they would never expect. We need to embrace it. The plan was beautiful in its insanity. Instead of opposing the Kriveth's perfect order, they would accept it, allow it to flow through them, but transform it in the process. Like water flowing around rocks in a stream, they would let the cascade pass through their consciousness while subtle currents of chaos reshaped its nature. Nexus Discord, their crystalline ally, resonated with understanding. Yes, it projected, its form shifting with newfound emotion. Order without chaos is stagnation. Chaos without order is destruction. The truth lies in the dance between them. The quantum network hummed with power as humanity prepared for the approaching wave. Artists, scientists, dreamers, and children, all connected, all contributing their unique patterns to the collective field. Maya began to play a melody that rippled through quantum space, its mathematics perfect, but its expression purely human. When the cascade hit Earth's atmosphere, it met not resistance but acceptance. Billions of human minds opened to it, letting its perfect patterns flow through their consciousness. But as it passed through each mind, it changed, picking up fragments of dreams, hopes, fears, and wonder. The effect was spectacular. The cascade's rigid frequency began to shift, incorporating harmonics of human thought. Order and chaos merged into something entirely new, a quantum symphony of consciousness that spread outward from Earth like ripples in a cosmic pond. Through their quantum senses, Alina and the other sensitives felt the change reach the Kriveth fleet. Crystalline beings who had known only perfect order for millennia suddenly experienced the full spectrum of consciousness. Many fought against it, their forms cracking under the strain of rejected emotion. But others, led by Nexus Discord, embraced the transformation. Their crystalline bodies began to pulse with new patterns, order and chaos dancing together in endless variation. The rigid hierarchy of their civilization dissolved and reformed into something organic, evolutionary. This is what we forgot. Nexus Discord shared through the quantum field, its consciousness now a bridge between species. Evolution requires both stability and change. In pursuing perfect order, we had become living fossils, unable to adapt or grow. The cascade, transformed by human consciousness, continued to spread throughout the galaxy. But instead of enforcing stagnation, it carried a new message. Consciousness itself was the universe's greatest experiment, an endless exploration of the balance between order and chaos. In the aftermath, Earth entered a new era. The Kriveth who chose transformation became teachers and students both, sharing their ancient knowledge while learning to rediscover their own capacity for growth and change. Those who couldn't accept the new reality retreated to distant sectors of space, their perfect order now a self-imposed exile rather than a universal law. Humanity's quantum awakening continued to evolve in unexpected ways. Children were born naturally attuned to the quantum field, their minds dancing between dimensions that their parents had struggled to access. The mind forges became centers of learning where both species study the art of conscious evolution. 5 years after the cascade, Alina stood on a platform beneath the stars, addressing a gathering of humans and transformed Kriveth. Above them, ships of crystal and steel moved in formations that were both mathematical and artistic, their patterns constantly shifting like thoughts given form. We stand here as proof that evolution isn't a ladder to climb, but a dance to perfect, she declared. The Kriveth sought to eliminate chaos and found only stagnation. Humanity might have lost itself in chaos without the challenge of perfect order. Together, we've discovered a greater truth, that consciousness itself is the universe's greatest adventure. Through the quantum field, she felt the resonance of countless minds, human and Kriveth alike, each adding their own unique pattern to the grand symphony of existence. The fear of chaos that had driven the Kriveth to contain humanity had transformed into a celebration of possibility. They had become evolution's children, not by conquering nature, but by embracing it in all its messy, chaotic, orderly perfection. And as new quantum signals arrived from distant stars, carrying patterns that resembled neither human chaos nor Kriveth order, they knew their journey was just beginning. The universe, they had learned, was large enough for infinite variations of consciousness. The only true enemy was the belief that any single pattern should dominate all others. In accepting this truth, both humanity and the Krivith had evolved into something greater than either could have become alone. And somewhere in the quantum field, in the space between thought and reality, the next chapter of conscious evolution was already beginning to unfold.